Hello and welcome back to Gray's Cast. Today on the show, we're going to be just discussing 3 tips you can use to improve your email copy, and they're going to be simple enough that you can take action on them and implement them in the very next email that you write. So if this is the first time you're watching the show, my name is Brooks Hitzfield with 7 Sons. We're a 7-figure farm-to-fork business selling direct-to-consumer on the internet, which is a pretty big niche, and there's not a lot of resources on training and information that, to learn from out there if you're in a similar business. So that's why we decided to create this show for you. So if you're interested in content like that related to business, marketing, finance as it relates to a farm-to-fork business, be sure to subscribe because we're sharing insights that we're learning as we experience them every other week. So on today's episode, I have subject matter expert on, Chad Grau, on a back-to-back episode because you're with us last week as well. Chad, thanks for joining again.
Glad to be back. It was fun last time. Looking forward to today's as well.
Cool. Well, like I say, our email copy and really just email marketing skills have really taken a turn for the better since you got involved in our business on a consulting basis. I think we were talking, 4 or 5 years ago at this point. So you're definitely a subject matter expert here that we turn to for all of this. And if you have listened to our show before, Chad's been on for several different episodes. Like I mentioned, he was on the episode that would have been promoted just 2 weeks ago. So if you're listening to this now, be sure to go back to catch that episode. We talked about product promotion ideas that you can take action on. So great content. Go back and listen to that because you'll also pick up more about, Chad, your story and background, how you kind of got connected into the digital marketing world and started working with us. But do you want to share maybe just a quick, because I know, you're obviously a big role of what we're doing here in our digital marketing efforts with 7 Sons, but I know that you have consulted and help with other clients and have, trainings and resources that are out there as well. Can you maybe just share how you get involved? What are some of the ways that you get involved with a client today in food businesses and where you focus in the digital marketing world?
Yep. Again, thanks for the intro and for the opportunity to be on. I love listening. I'm a Gray's Cast listener when I'm not on, so I appreciate being in the chair, so to speak. So I really I try to be aware of marketing in general, trends and kind of where how people are consuming information. But my love, where I'd like to spend most of my time, is with conversion marketing and email marketing. And combining those. So let me kind of explain what conversion marketing is real quickly. And it actually leads into one of the things we'll talk about today. And again, we talked about last week and that we'll talk about in our upcoming training.
Yep.
And that is try to keep things simple for customers and to help the customer conversion process along, help people to become a customer for the first time, help customers to become a repeat customer, help businesses, farms craft offers and promotions that get people's attention and help them to take action. That's where I like to live, and where I had been fortunate to partner with almost a dozen other Gray's Cart farm using farms over the last 4 years. Wow. Also, email marketing and helping people gain the confidence to write better emails and to have a process that they can depend upon to be consistent with writing emails, because you kind of have to be. So that's what I do mostly. I could do a better job of writing my own long form content. I do have some email resources out there on my website, which we can just, for the simplicity's sake, we can link to some of those in
the
description here. But that's kind of where I live online, and what I'm excited to talk about most of the time.
I know for sure, without a doubt, that you have valuable experiences and insights that have had a major impact on the clients that you've worked with, our business as well. I know we tell people that the first year we started working in depth, on kind of a long-term contract basis with you, our business grew in that time period by $1 million in e-commerce revenue. So where you focus, it works, and it definitely is an area of opportunity, and has been proven now that you've worked with other clients of ours, focusing on what you do focus on. It's repeatable, and it's not just something that's specific to our business. So I know today we're talking about email copy, and before we get into kind of just your tips on email copy, I know Blaine and I try to do our best translating some of the things that you've helped us with, of giving people strong reasons on why to focus on email marketing and that strategy in a world where social media and all these new platforms seem to be the big thing. You've got TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Do you want to anything you want to share there to kind of give your best swing at why email marketing is still very, very relevant for an e-commerce business to focus on today?
Yeah, all those are great. All the marketing channels you mentioned are great opportunities. I consume content on most of them. I'm not on TikTok yet, but my son shows me stuff that I laugh at. And I know, and actually, we were on a call Blaine and I were on a call last week with a marketing agency, just exploring some opportunities, and they were talking a lot about TikTok and advertising on TikTok. So, bottom line, there's multiple different channels, but as far as email, still, pretty much if you go to create an account with any one of those platforms, you're logging in with your email address. Email addresses are going nowhere. There's 6+ billion email addresses. So that's one thing. Email's not going away. Yep. It's still a way. While there is a kind of, there are ways you can, it's amazing e-commerce. Like there's so many innovations to how easy the companies are making it to pay online with taps of buttons, and it's exciting, and it's that's really cool. But people spend money in their email inbox, logging into accounts, creating accounts. So it's a direct relationship. Like I can go from Brooks, I'm Chad, from Chad to Brooks with an email asking to buy, versus if I go from Chad to my Facebook followers, it's less personal, although a way you can generate sales. But having the direct one-to-one relationship, like to connect with somebody on a platform that I own, which you don't own any of those platforms. So those are just some of the reasons that email is still a great channel, and one that we heavily invest in content and planning and strategy and time around nurturing, to make sure that we're optimizing that, and we'll continue to.
It's like the email is your driver's license to participate at a deeper level on the internet. So everybody has it. And if you do research out there, you follow any e-commerce experts, particularly the e-commerce industry seems to go really deep and can get there's a lot of opportunity out there investing in email marketing strategies. So
yeah, in the ROI, is like off the cuff 40-1 or something like crazy. Like it's insane. The return on investment for these pretty sophisticated platforms, which they don't even really need to use all the sophistication to have success. Yeah. And so one of the things that, and people, one of the things that I can get on my soapbox about is all of what we do is built, I think, around still being great and consistent with a newsletter, an email newsletter on a weekly basis. There's a lot of other cool things we can do, but that's the foundation to keep the relationship going, to continue to give deposits to customers. So that's a whole probably Yeah. I mean, I think that the number one, I could confidently say the number one thing, number one tip, if you can call it a tip, is just the belief. And what I mean by that is belief in the confidence, and it's the mental game around sending emails. So I can tell you that in kind of how I got started. Again, if you missed last week, if you find this for the first time, like I'm actually a pharmacist. I'm a doctor of pharmacy. I haven't been practicing pharmacy since 2010, because then I transitioned into a health and fitness business where it was basically direct sales. Like I was literally messaging people every day through Facebook Messenger, email, text there towards the end as they got a little bit more, widely used. But I was messaging people about what I was doing with health and fitness. And that meant oftentimes creating content online to provide value. But me having this list of people who I knew who's my warm market, and then this cold market of like reaching out to say, invite them to participate in what I was doing. So that was a very, very hard thing to do to start. Like, no, like getting over like the junk in my head about they're not going to think I'm good enough. They're not going to want to, have a transaction with me. That's a hard thing. And it's a real thing. And I think it's one of the barriers that people have to overcome to get effective, to be effective and to be consistent with email. So having the belief in what you do, in the mission you're on with producing food, and knowing that people are better off for having partaken in your food and being in your ecosystem with how you're training, not training them, but teaching and like giving value and getting people excited about what you're doing. Like let your mission come through to people and be confident in that. And if you believe in your product, then you should reaching out to people. Like, so that's kind of what I had to talk. I did believe in what I was doing, and that made it easier knowing that that person on the other end is better off by me reaching out to them. And ultimately, I heard someone say that, and actually I read a lot, as you see in the background, like it's a muscle you kind of have to work on, both just the building confidence and belief, but knowing that ultimately in your life, you're going to meet 10 really nasty people, 10. Okay. And it's okay. Whenever you meet someone, you just check the box. Well, there's one, I got 9 more to go or whatever. So, so ultimately there are not mean people on the other side of your emails. And if so, there's maybe only 10 for your whole life. So I think that knowing that just having belief and having confidence to hit send, not only to teach people something that they will find value in, but also to ask for a sale and then to assume the sale and be confident in what you're creating. So again, that's kind of where I want to go with the first one. And the thing is I know like it's a muscle. Like it was really hard to start, but once I stopped, there was literally no stopping. It was a habit I got to every day. I was messaging people all day back and forth, a lot of communication. It's probably why I do a lot of copywriting now. I did it every day for like 7 days a week for years on my side hustle. So I learned a lot about how I could help people come to a decision and how I could be direct without being pushy, and really helping people come to a decision and follow up, because the fortune's in the follow up. Consistent newsletter, you just got to follow up. And that's what I view newsletters are. So that's number one. Does that kind of concept make sense, Brooks?
It does, and, I think it's really important to kind of, because really what you're talking about is mindset. And, I think anyone who first gets started, especially if you've not been in business before, so you're in the farm and fork movement, selling, or food producer, you're selling direct to consumer, you're going to, and most of the time, if you get into this business, it's not because you were good at marketing or sales. And that's like that's the muscle that you had to exercise a lot in your career. No, it's probably because you're really passionate about agriculture. Maybe it's soil health and having a positive impact in changing our food system. So now that's actually a good thing. It can translate to having a lack of confidence when it comes to, well, if you're building a direct to consumer business, you're going to have to engage with customers. You're going to have to nurture them. One of the best ways to do that is with email. There's lots of tools that are out there, and you're going to have to develop that muscle to, again, communicate with them. And like you say, at some point, ask for the sale. But it's really important to spend effort and time here, because the longer you do it, the more consistent you are with it, the more you're going to be able to translate the confidence of what you're doing and what you're actually passionate about, impacting and having a positive impact on the food system. And the better you're going to be able to translate that confidence in your email copy, in just conversations with customers on the phone, or it's at the farmer's market. The first time you start doing it's going to be maybe a little rough, but that's fine. You knock that rust off. The only way to improve is through reps. It's just like going to the gym. You have to exercise if you're trying to bulk up. So, best way to really get started and to actually improve that belief is you have to do it. You have to stay consistent, and it just improves what you're doing over time, because as you not only develop the skill sets, you're also going to develop the confidence, and the confidence does translate to the customer, so they kind of work together as synergies. So yeah, no, super important to have to get over.
No different than, again, the confidence that how older kids, when they start riding bikes, 4, 5, I don't know, like their confidence is low, and your parent, as a parent, like it's pretty low when they start, but over time it develops. When you're a freshman in high school, walking in the doors the first time, kind of nervous. By the time you're a senior, like you're not, you're confident. So it's the same thing as all those. So just having that belief, and hopefully that helps you, understand that it's normal to feel that way. Cause I felt the same way.
Oh yeah. I raise my hand, like public speaking, I think is kind of the latest thing I can turn back to is that thing. And even just doing this podcast, if you go back and listen to episode 1, you're going to see that we've learned some things, gotten more comfortable as doing the podcast over time. Not perfect today. And it's going to improve when you listen to the episode a year down the road. I remember listening to one of our business coaches at the time actually talking about public speaking. He said the number one way to improve, he had actually a YouTube show on, he had 5 points, but just like you starting off, the number one thing is mindset. And in order to improve, the number one thing is you have to say yes. So every time you have an opportunity to public speak and put yourself out there, you say yes. You just decide up front that you're going to say yes. Because the reps is what's going to help you be able to improve. So same thing here, as if you're in the farm to fork business, you're selling direct consumer, you have plenty of opportunities in front of you to get in front of your customers, talk to your customers. You just got to start saying yes, and that's where the confidence is going to come from. So what do you got for tip 2?
Number two is simplicity and having clear calls to action. So if I can kind of continue our first topic, okay, our first tip of, having confidence, there's a fine line you have to walk between being confident in what you're doing and excited and being genuine and communicating, and then writing a 2,000 word sales email. Okay. And then having something that needs to be a little bit more, having that same mindset, but just if it's a sales email, being a little bit more to the point and clear, and having clear calls to action. So what I'm trying to say there is you can do both, right? And there are times when you're going to write a longer teaching, high value email that's not a sales email. It's just giving, and you're teaching, and you are having a little bit more length. But from especially a sales email, having that mindset of confidence in how you're writing, and keeping it clear so that people know what you want them to do. So as I have talked about on our last episode, and maybe one of the previous ones, here's a format that I would take to the bank to help you identify how to kind of what you're after in a sales email. So if you're sending an email where the ask is to buy, then within the first 2 sentences, I would have a link to where you want them to go, a sales page, a collection, a product. So when they open it on their phone, right, they basically open the email, and right away they don't have to scroll. Boom, I'm interested in the winter beef sale. Click. Okay, that's one. Then I would have an image if you're selling something, whatever you're selling, whether it's a prepared food product recipe, finished picture, or if it's the, not frozen, but just a picture of the, I don't know, Brooks raw. How would I call
it? Yeah, we call it raw. That's fine. Out of the package. Yep.
The package. Perfect. Have that picture. If you can, that picture does matter. If it's a bundle of items, try to make it to where you can see the amount of items you have. I would have a button that takes you directly to that sales page. And I would say, shop the sale, browse the offering, make it an action that, and one of the things I like is like place my order. Yes, I'm interested. Like just put some thought into the button text. It should be an action verb or a personal to that person. And then if you have a few points you want to make about, maybe you have a new product you're excited about, and there's 10 things that you could communicate to somebody. Don't list all 10, like list 3.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. You don't have to like have bullet point after bullet point after bullet point. Okay. So keep it simple. Ideally, you want to get them to your website because that is where they buy. So the goal really is the click. And you don't even have to say the price of what your product is per se. You could, to browse the offering or to review the sale, click here. And then to have a PS link. Okay. So that's the main section of your newsletter. It could be newsletter or just your sales letter. That's it. Okay. So a top link, an image that ideally you can link, because some people will click on the image and it should take them somewhere ideally, a button and a PS link, but all 4 links go to one spot. It's just that some people are top link clickers, some people are image clickers, some people are button clickers, and some people are PS link clickers. Yeah. So it's just, they scroll the bottom and they decide they're interested, they can click on the PS. No big deal. So, or you don't have to put an actual PS. You can just have a link in that area in the bottom of the email.
Yep.
So the tip is have clear calls to actions with sales emails. What not to do. Say this sale is part of you're talking about it in your newsletter. You can talk about other things, but anything else should be in this, we call them secondary parts of the newsletter, where we share reviews, farm pictures of the week, picture of the farm store and farm hours, join the farm text club. Like that's all kind of like below the fold,
yep.
So, but the whole main section of the top, it's one focus. It is only on the sale. Don't bury it among 3 other things about what's going on in the top of the newsletter. It should be very clear that section, and if they could take action on one item, it's this thing you talked about in the main part of your newsletter. And that is, again, if you're focused on talking about this promotion you're running in the newsletter. Is that clear? Does that make sense? Any follow-up questions on that?
I was going to say that you'd probably agree, just what kind of I'm getting out of what you're saying is maybe a healthy exercise when you go to sit down and write that email, whether it's a sales email, a newsletter, whatever it is. Think about, what do you want your customer to do, take action on, probably more related to the sales email, or what do you want them to know by the time you read this email? And then you can kind of audit. Once you've kind of got that first draft out there, you can kind of audit. Well, does this section, does that basically answer yes to that question of what do I want them to know? If so, if this adds to that, then maybe it's something you keep in there. But if not, audit that and seriously question taking it out to provide that level of focus, especially when you're talking about clear call to actions. Think about, ideally you have one thing you want them to do, and don't load in links to multiple different places just because you can put a link in there.
Yeah. So one of the strategies that we put in place most of the time with our big launches are like the cart open email and the cart close email, which this is a little segue towards the end of our training here, or our podcast episode today. We'll talk about the training we have coming up, but the first email and the last email are the highest revenue per subscriber emails you will send during a launch. Okay. And so we actually eliminate almost all the time, especially in the cart close email. even if it's on a Sunday, we don't have like all the social proof and the Google reviews and the farm store. We keep it really clear. So clarity with if you can take, if you have multiple links in your email, you can go down to get to like 4 links and they all go to the landing page you want them to go to. There's one they're just choosing which link to click on, but they're only going to one spot. That's the only decision they can make, which is what we want.
Yep. So find that one decision you want them to make sure all the call to actions point there. I know there's other follow-up questions I could get into to dig into that one, but to keep this rolling, what do you have for number 3?
Give yourself time. It's really hard to write, especially high value sales emails if it's really got to go out in the next hour. Mm-hmm. So prepare, schedule it, bring some peace and ease into your life and schedule some time. You will write better. You will write better when you have time, and identify that time of the day when you have do your best writing and you have the fewest distractions. Turn your phone off and just write and do it ahead of time. You will write better. You'll be less angry doing it. We've all written angry emails. We all have, like, why did I do this to myself? So you will feel better and you'll write better and have better results by allowing yourself time. You don't have to be perfect, but shoot to do that 90+% of the time, and you'll be happy with yourself.
Yes. I can attest this is an area that I can raise my hand and have a high desire to improve in, because I can attest to that. The emails where I've sat down, written, whether it's for this podcast or for a newsletter, if you write it early enough that it sits for a week. Ideally, you build up a content log, right? Which, we all aspire to get there. But ideally, you're running way ahead where you have a residual source of content going out. But even if it's just, a week, 2 weeks in advance, and you have that email written, ready to go, a lot of times I find too that when I go to send it, I'll send one more test and read it again, and there'll be some very easy final tweaks I'll make that really add some nice improvement to the newsletter, to the email. And you wouldn't have had the opportunity to capture in on any of that if you're writing it there just last minute on the spot, right?
For sure.
Cool. Well, these have been super helpful, definitely simple that anyone, even me, I'm listening, definitely need to schedule more time when writing my emails. And I know there's a lot of value that you can get for that, but definitely easy that anyone can implement on today if you're listening. Chad, I know coming up here in just a few weeks, we have a live training that we've been alluding to that really will allow you, actually, the training is about product launches. If you go back and listen to the last episode that Chad shared with us regarding some promotion ideas, we shared a lot of insights into what a launch is, but it's a strategy basically to promote a new initiative, or maybe it's a new product line, or a sale on an entire category, something new that's very exciting. And there's a strong offer or reason for your customers to opt into that. And the strategy really gets pretty in depth, but it leverages heavily email marketing, the psychology of why people take action and buy something. There's online courses that have, 40, 50 hours onto this topic. And it can't be justified in just a podcast. We've talked about doing a podcast just on it, but you really can't get through all the different components that make up this strategy. But we've been doing product launches, Chad, ever since you started working with us 4 or 5 years ago, and can attest to the value that they, and hidden revenue that's hidden here, and just the ability they can, really just create a lot of buzz around your business with existing customers and activate and convert customers that have been on your list for a long time. So it's a strategy we've gotten a lot of value from. Chad, you've worked with us, you've worked with other clients and helped them implement this too. So it's proven to be repeatable. And you've agreed to do a live training for our audience here coming up in a few weeks to dig into the product launch principles and really help people to actually take action on this on their own. So there's going to be a two-part series. So we'll do one live training, probably 90 minutes or so here on March 16th. That focus of that is going to be around really, and Chad, you chime in whatever you want to add to this, but really around the product launch, what it is, and creating A+ offer, like a home run offer that your customers just are going to be interested in, and what that means to you. A launch when you maybe, if it's a product promotion or sale, this is not the time period where you go to just, if there's inventory that you're long on necessarily, but it's not a popular product, this doesn't fit well into what we're talking about. Part of what makes a launch work well is having an A+ offer that your customers are actually going to be interested in. So we're going to be talking about creating that offer, the timeline of a launch, probably some of the principles and psychology that go into the buying experience there. And then part 2, sometime in April, we'll come back for a second live training regarding the actual promotion of the launch and helping you go live. How did I do? And is there anything you want to add to why someone needs to show up on this live training?
You crushed it. You nailed it. So
there we go.
In full transparency, when we were talking about this idea of doing a training, it was going to be focused on the promotion of the launch and a sales page, which we're still going to cover. But we just all have seen the impact of having an offer. Like if you have an offer that's crap, if it's not good, then it doesn't matter how you promote it or how good your emails are. So we want to spend a lot of time on that first one, the helping go through breaking down the offer and helping you to create an irresistible offer that people would feel. Actually, I have a book on my desk. It's called $100 Million Offers, and it says how to make an offer so good that people feel stupid saying no to it. Nice. So we're going to want to go through that. And as it relates to today's topic on email, we'll show you. We've talked about like some of the principles. We'll show you the sales emails that we've sent from Seven Sons, so you can actually see, okay, well, this is what it looks like to apply these tips in an actual launch.
Yep. And so this will be, because email is a big part of a product launch, it's really going to give you an opportunity to exercise what we've talked about, Chad, what you've shared with everyone today, if you go and participate in your own launch. So I'm super excited about the training. Again, this is something that you've implemented with a lot of our clients. We know it works when you craft a well-executed product launch. So we're going to leave a link at the bottom of this episode, or hit our website, go to the blog and find this episode. There'll be a link there. Email our support team if you can't find it, to where you can get registered for the live training. This truly is just going to be Chad sharing insights from, and really even some case studies and results to give some social proof around that this strategy does work. But Chad really just sharing the strategy with you guys. There's really no pitch or offer for Gracecart or anything like that planned on this coaching. So even if you're not a client, you're not using the platform, this is really something that, we're going to give you maybe some reasons why Gracecart can help out with a strategy like this, and we have a lot of experience with that. But really, anyone can implement on this strategy. So join the training. It's going to be completely free to join. If you're listening to this way into the future after this episode goes live, Chad, we've talked about recording the training. So still go to the website, find this episode, and follow that link, because there'll be a way for you to still consume and digest that and take action on it. So we're super excited. Join us and Chad for the webinar. Chad, thanks for agreeing to come back on for the podcast. We were talking about last time. I'm going to let Blaine know that he's lost his co-host spot. So
well,
we'll have to do this again.
Happy to be on, and thanks for and you guys do a great job. So I was happy to be involved.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Chad. We'll talk soon.